Hello and welcome to this edition of Now You Novi, the number one podcast in Novi. And today we're going to talk about a very important topic that is a hot topic in the city, and that is fiber installations. And here with me are my good friends Jeff and Humna from our engineering department and Department of Public Works. Welcome.
Hi.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Well, thanks for coming. So Jeff, tell me a little bit about what you do over at DPW.
I'm in charge of the right-of-way permitting. So if any work is being done in the right-of-way, they have to submit an application through me.
Okay. And
then I go through and approve and get everything needed.
Now, I'm pretty sure I saw you on a snowplow video.
So I used to plow. I used to work in the field ops division.
Okay.
And switched over to engineering 2 years ago.
Okay. All right. So that's a good transition.
Yeah.
What about you?
So I started working for the city of Novi in 2019 as the right-of-way tech, doing what Jeff is currently doing. And right now I work with private development projects, but I also still help out once in a while with right-of-way and other small cell things.
Okay. So since you both mentioned right-of-way, let's just get it out of the way. Tell me, what is the public right-of-way?
So public right-of-way is what we use to house our public infrastructure. So water, mains, sewer, storm lines. And it varies in different widths depending on the subdivision.
And
so
the type of road as well.
Yeah, the type of road, majors versus locals. But yeah, there's not a definitive line.
So the right-of-way, the public right-of-way is where infrastructure and utilities are, right? So it could be water mains, could it be electrical,
Gas.
And so what we're seeing right now in multiple neighborhoods across the city all at once is fiber optic installations going in. So tell us a little bit about what's happening across the city.
So the fiber optic cable, it's usually for high-speed internet and those types of things, and they're covered under the Metro Act. And the Metro Act stands for Metropolitan Extension Telecommunications Right-of-Way Oversight Act. So
that's a mouthful.
Yeah, it basically is an act for the state of Michigan that kind of prevents public cities from hindering or unreasonably denying fiber optic installations. And because they want to encourage high-speed internet, encourage these developments to provide those services for residents.
So just to back up a little bit, so what's being installed right now in several neighborhoods and more to come, it sounds like, according to Jeff, is high-speed, typically for high-speed data.
Yeah.
High-speed internet, which is something that people want. We get calls all the time of people want more options. Mm-hmm. And now there are more options coming. How many companies do we have right now installing?
Currently we have five companies installing right now, with a sixth one applying for their Metro Act permit. And
so it's not just AT&T. People are used to seeing AT&T for a couple years now.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But now there are a couple more that have decided to come in and provide a service.
Yes.
To the community. And so the main question that we get, you just answered, can we stop these people from these companies from coming in and installing fiber in my yard?
I think the general answer would be no, we can't necessarily stop them. We can ensure that they do restoration and they follow all the city procedures. But under the Metro Act, we cannot unreasonably deny anyone from access.
Yeah, the city's hands are tied with this.
And we need to make the important distinction of what in my yard is, right? And so, and we're developing a web page that will have some of this information on it, but people need to sort of understand where the right-of-way is against their property line, and then also utility easements, but mostly public right-of-way, and what is allowed to happen in that public right-of-way. and one of those things is telecom operators.
So with the right of way, you may have anywhere from 15 to 30 feet from the center of the road.
Mm-hmm.
Once that ends, there's typically a utility easement for telecommunications, gas, which is beyond the right of way. So it even goes up further into the yards that they have access to. Mm-hmm. And these easements also go through the rear of the yards.
So another question that we get is, why didn't they ask me first? If I'm the homeowner, this is my property, why didn't they ask me first?
So we do typically ask them to put door hangers and inform residents, but in terms of like the legal right to be there in the public right of way, they do have that right. And within the public utility easements, they typically have that company as the signer on that easement, so they own that area. And usually, like for the right of way, if you have a sidewalk in front of your house, usually up until that the back of that sidewalk is within the public right of way generally.
Yeah. So, another question we get: can they dig in my yard?
They can dig in the utility easement.
Yes.
The only time they should be going in your yard is if you've subscribed to their service, and they'll place a tether in to your house.
Do they need a permit?
They need a permit for the right of way, but if it's a utility easement, it's outside of the city's scope.
So is there any sort of notification that happens between the company and the city before they start working?
If the work is done in the right of way, they have to apply for a permit, and we check all of our boxes, make sure we have everything. We do collect a bond to hold against them to make sure the restorations are restored.
Okay. Okay. So speaking of restoration, this is another question that we get all the time. So they've come through, they've installed their fiber lines, and they've destroyed my yard. Who's responsible for normalizing that? And how far do they have to put it back the way it was before they started, or what is the rule there? What is
So
their
their restoration is topsoil, seed, and straw mulch. They'll go through once the weather is acceptable. We're right on that verge that they're going to start restorations. But it's up to the contractor and the permit holder.
And what if they damage something? Let's say I've got, yard lighting in the yard, or maybe I have an invisible dog fence or something like that, or even sprinklers, which get damaged all the time during sidewalk projects and stuff like that.
Yeah, they can just reach out to the Novi DPW.
Okay.
And we can put them in contact with them. Or if they see them out there digging, it's a good idea to go out and mark ahead of time. If you know they're coming down your road, especially with dog fences, because you can't really see those. And a lot of times
it's invisible.
Right. And typically they're in the right of way, and they didn't pull a permit for that. So, but yeah, it's they can reach out to the DPW with questions.
Yeah, and like if you had work in the fall and now it's springtime, they're going through and doing restoration. If someone tests their sprinklers and they notice that there's issues, they can then reach out to the DPW, make sure we're not releasing a bond before the work is completed, and let us know. Yeah.
Okay.
So if we're aware of it, we'll make sure that it's been addressed.
Well, there is some sort of, I don't want to say accountability, but there's something there where we can, make them fulfill their obligation at least.
We ask that the residents, fire up the sprinklers as soon as possible when the weather allows. If the work was done in March, don't call us in August, because it's going to be harder to get them out here.
As soon as you're able, test your system, make sure everything is working properly, and then notify DPW. Can they also call the company themselves?
Absolutely.
Yes.
How do they find out what company is working in their area?
So they should have received flyers and a door hanger. One of the companies puts out a door hanger at the end of construction.
Okay.
With their phone number and contact to get a hold of them directly for any issues.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. What other information should the residents know?
Be patient. It will, both companies that are in here right now, I've been very, they directly get back to me with any issues.
Okay.
It's going to be resolved.
Okay.
Restorations will take place as soon as, like we were talking, the weather breaks.
Sure.
Yeah.
We've got 3 subdivisions ready to get restored.
Okay. So soon as is reasonable.
Yeah.
Once they're done
Yeah.
with the work.
A lot of work is weather dependent, and they can't start restoration on one end of the subdivision until they finish the work throughout the whole sub typically.
Right.
So it's just, you have to be patient. Let us know if there's an issue, or if the company's not reaching back to you. If you're not getting a response, reach out to the DPW. We'll reach out as well.
Great. So forward all calls to Humna and Jeff is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, you can give us a call.
All right.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Well, thank you very much for joining me today. So just to reiterate, we know it's somewhat of a headache. It's been a surprise to some people, but the fiber installation is a good thing. It'll increase, it should increase service offerings. It should increase competition, hopefully.
Lower prices.
Lower prices,
Hopefully.
And at the end of the day, the telecom providers have the right to operate in the right of way by law, by Michigan law. So we
Yes.
can't stop them. We can't hinder them. We can't create any sort of unreasonable hindrance for them. But they do have to get a permit
For the right of way.
for the
For
right
the
of
right of
way.
way.
And we do get a bond in case they damage something, and we make sure that those things are restored before they receive that bond back. Right?
Correct.
Did I
Yeah.
sum that up okay?
Yeah, and the bond is released once all restoration is completed, not just construction is done.
Okay. All right. Very good. Anything else that our residents should know?
No.
No? You just want to get back on the snowplow, I think.
No, I'm done with that. We had enough sleet last night. I didn't like it.
Yeah, what is happening this spring? All right. Well, thank you very much for joining us. Thank you all for watching, and hopefully we provide a little bit more information so that everybody is informed about the fiber installation process that's happening throughout the city, which is actually a really good thing. So thanks for watching. Now You Novi. We'll see you next time.